Have you ever stepped into a room, confident that you saw everything clearly, only to realize, much later, that you saw almost nothing at all? At first, it feels like you're in control. But then, faces become a blur. Conversations pass like radio static, noisy, forgettable, empty. You think you're alert, fully present, but in reality, you're distracted, not by the world, but by your own mind, your assumptions, your snap judgments, your gut instincts. But what if the very instincts you trust are actually the ones keeping you blind? You see, most people reveal far more than they realize. In how they sit, in a fleeting glance, in a moment of hesitation. While you're busy trying to impress, talking, explaining, convincing, someone else is watching in silence. They aren't listening to what you say. They're reading how you say it. They're observing your rhythm, your inconsistencies, your unconscious tells. Someone like Inuji Kiyotaka, calm, still, always 10 steps ahead. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to have power. You don't need to fight to be noticed. What you need is clarity, vision stripped of emotion, unclouded by ego or urgency. Because once you gain that kind of sight, something remarkable happens. You begin to see people as they are, not as they appear. You influence without force, outsmart without confrontation, and no one even realizes it's happening. In this video, I'll show you 4 powerful techniques, drawn from the art of deep observation, that can completely shift how you see others and how others see you. But be warned. Once you learn to see with this kind of clarity, there's no unseeing it. The world never looks the same again. Stay with me, because the final lesson might just change everything you thought you knew. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. See without emotion. If your goal is to truly outsmart others, not through manipulation or noise, but through precise, focused awareness, then this is the first rule: detach from emotional fog. Most people drift through life like sleepwalkers, not because they're unintelligent, but because they're enslaved by their emotions. Anger blurs their thinking. Desire distorts their judgment. Fear halts them in their tracks. They react, they don't think. But the Stoics believed something radically different. They taught that when you learn to observe your emotions, not suppress or ignore them, but acknowledge them without letting them control you, you unlock a deeper level of perception. A rare kind of clarity that few ever reach. Think back to the last time you were in a heated argument. Do you remember the exact words that were said? Probably not. What you do remember is how it made you feel. That emotional heat hijacked your focus. You weren't analyzing. You weren't curious. You were defending, reacting, fighting to be heard, and in that reactive state, you likely missed something crucial. Maybe the other person accidentally revealed a deep insecurity. Maybe they said something worth considering, but your emotional storm drowned it out. Or think about how often people misread social cues simply because they enter situations needing something: approval, attention, love, and in that neediness, they distort everything they see. But what happens when you no longer need anything from the room you walk into? That's where the real power begins. You no longer chase attention. You no longer crave recognition. And then, you begin to realize something extraordinary. When your desire to be acknowledged, loved, or noticed clouds your perception, it becomes almost impossible to see others clearly. You don't see them for who they are. You only see what your emotions allow you to see. Take Ayanu Koji Kiyotaka as an example, not just a fictional character, but the embodiment of mental clarity. He doesn't go through life cold or emotionless. No, he's composed, calm, steady. He doesn't rush to conclusions or get swept away by emotional reactions. He observes, he listens, he analyzes, and in that patient silence, he peels back the layers others try so hard to hide. He sees what the Stoics understood long ago. People can lie with words, but their posture, their habits, and their silence, those never lie. The real question is, can you see them? Let's bring this idea into real life. Next time you walk into a room, any room, resist the urge to perform. Don't rush to speak. Don't try to be liked. Don't try to impress anyone. Just pause and observe, but observe without judgment, without emotion, with full detachment. Watch how people move. Notice who they stand closer to, and who they completely ignore. Pay attention to how their body shifts when someone else enters the room. If someone tells a joke, notice who they instinctively glance at when they laugh. These aren't meaningless gestures. They are micro-reveals, tiny, unconscious signals of connection, power, and affection. Most people never notice them. But the one who remains calm, the one who isn't eager to speak or be seen, is the one who catches everything. Of course, your mind won't make this easy. It will want to label everything you see. It will want to judge. That one seems arrogant. I don't trust her. He's obviously trying too hard. But all of that is just noise. Let those thoughts pass. Don't hold on to them. Just notice. This is how you begin to cultivate something very few ever achieve, mental untouchability. Because when you stop interpreting everything through an emotional lens, you become the rare person in the room who sees the truth beneath the surface. And yes, it will feel strange at first. In a world addicted to instant reactions and loud expressions, your calm may look like coldness. Your stillness may confuse people. But remember what Epictetus once said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That discomfort you feel, it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're doing something different. You're breaking the script. You're stepping out of the role others expect of you, and into your own awareness. This isn't about becoming a cold, calculating machine. It's about reclaiming the part of your mind that's been hijacked by noise, ego, and reactive habits. Because in every interaction, every conversation, there's always more happening than words can express. When a friend tells you a story, try to listen beyond the words. What are they avoiding? When someone compliments you, don't just absorb it blindly. Ask yourself, why now? What might they gain from this? This isn't paranoia. This is perception, sharpened by restraint. This is stoicism in motion. It's not about suspecting the worst. It's about staying alert to what is. And yes, soon, you'll begin to notice things you never did before. You'll see subtle acts of manipulation, repeated cycles of attention-seeking, jokes that aren't really jokes, but disguised power plays. Because people rarely mean something just because they said it once. They mean it when they repeat it. And when you stop reacting, that's when you start truly seeing. You've learned how to walk into a room without needing to prove anything. Without rushing to speak, just simply observing. And here's why that matters. Most people don't realize this, but they walk into relationships, conversations, every situation, with a hidden desire. They want validation. They want attention. They want to be loved. And when your mind is focused on getting something from others, you lose the ability to truly see who they are. In those moments, you're not really seeing them. You're only seeing a version of them distorted by your own emotions. Have you ever felt disappointed in someone? only to realize later you never actually saw them clearly from the beginning? We don't realize we're wearing tinted glasses until we finally take them off. Now let's go back to a very telling example. Ayanokoji Kiyotaka. Not just a famous fictional character, but a vivid symbol of mental clarity. Ayanokoji isn't emotionless. He isn't cold in a robotic way. He's simply grounded. He doesn't rush to conclusions. He doesn't let emotions cloud his logic. He doesn't react, he observes. He analyzes. He waits patiently. And in those moments of stillness, he peels back the layers of masks that others wear. Because he understands something the Stoics knew thousands of years ago. People can lie with words, but their gestures, their habits, their silences, those never lie. And the real question is, can you see them? Let's make this practical. Try it in your everyday life. The next time you walk into a room, anywhere, at work, in a cafe, at a small gathering, try not to jump in right away. Don't rush to speak. Don't try to be interesting. Don't even try to be liked. Just observe. No judgment, no labels, no emotional filters. Watch how people move. Who do they choose to stand near? Whose eyes are they avoiding? If someone new walks into the room, notice the subtle reactions. Who leans in? Who suddenly straightens up? Who starts laughing a little louder? And if someone cracks a joke, don't just listen to the words. Watch where their eyes flicker when they laugh. Those glances, those tiny physical shifts, they may seem insignificant, but they reveal so much. These are micro behaviors, unconscious cues that show affinity, hierarchy, or hidden alliances. Most people miss them because they're too busy trying to perform. Only the calm, the ones who aren't caught up in the noise, can see what's really going on. But here's the hard part. Your own mind will resist you. It'll start judging everything. This person seems fake. I don't like her. That guy is trying way too hard. But all of those mental labels are just noise. Let them pass. Don't cling to them. Don't react. Just notice. That is the art of becoming mentally untouchable. When you stop interpreting everything through an emotional lens, you become the one person in the room who actually sees what's happening. And yes, at first, it'll feel strange. In a world addicted to reaction and attention, your calm might confuse people. Your quiet presence might be mistaken for coldness. But as Epictetus said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That discomfort you feel isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign that you're breaking the script. You're no longer playing the role people expect from you. You're choosing to see the truth, and that alone puts you steps ahead. This is not a journey to becoming a cold robot. It's the path to reclaiming ownership of your own mind. Because in every conversation, every relationship, there's always more going on than words can express. And when you're calm enough to observe, instead of reacting, you'll start to notice something fascinating. Behavioral patterns repeating themselves all around you. They've always been there. You just didn't see them before. Who's the one that always interrupts when others are speaking? Who suddenly goes silent when someone else is praised? Who changes their tone or demeanor the moment a certain person walks into the room? These things, they're not random. They're signals. Signals of emotion, power, insecurity, envy, and they only become clear when you stop emotionally reacting to them. Detaching from your emotions isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's the ability to stand in the middle of chaos and remain still, like a lighthouse in a storm. The Stoics understood this long ago. Virtue begins with self-mastery. And self-mastery begins with perception. Because you can't control what you don't understand. And you can't understand what you're too emotional to clearly see. So, train your mind to do one simple but powerful thing. Pause. Breathe. Observe. There is a quiet power in stillness. When you stop talking just to fill the silence. When you stop reacting just to defend your ego. You become a mystery. And what others can't read, they begin to respect. From that respect, you gain leverage, and it all begins with detachment. Now you might ask, so how do I do this without seeming weird or invisible? The answer is simple. Be fully present. But hold your energy. Speak when you choose to, not when you're baited. Laugh when it's truly funny, not when it's socially expected. Look people in the eyes, but don't chase connection. Let the silence thicken, and don't flinch. In that space, people begin to reveal who they truly are. They always do. All you need is enough patience to see it. So next time you enter a room, don't rush to blend in. Don't rush to feel. Don't rush to judge. Just observe. And remember, your goal isn't to know everything. It's to notice what others miss, because they're too busy reacting. Detach from emotion. Observe without craving. See without needing. That's how you quietly outmaneuver everyone, without them ever realizing you just did. When you learn to observe others without getting swept up in emotions, you begin to notice so many things others completely miss. But if you truly want to go further, you must learn to observe yourself. So, what sets the wise apart from the rest? It's their willingness to look at themselves, not from the inside out, but from the outside in. The Stoics spoke of this long ago. They believed in constant self-examination. Not the kind where you beat yourself up or drown in guilt, but the kind of deep observation that reveals the gap between who you think you are and who you're actually showing up as. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Every action, every word, every gesture carries a message. But are you truly listening to the message your own life is sending?" Here's the truth. People are always watching you. Not always consciously, but instinctively. They pick things up. They notice when you hesitate. They hear the uncertainty in your voice. They feel when your laughter doesn't come from a genuine place. Before you even realize it, they've already taken note. And while you're busy trying to be liked, they've already formed conclusions. Some are snakes in disguise, smiling to your face while keeping score behind your back. Some don't care at all, and only a rare few will tell you the truth. But even then, that truth only matters if you're willing to seek it. So, how do you break through this blindness? You step outside yourself. Imagine this. You are no longer you. You're an outsider, filming the movie of your own life. Picture it. From a third-person perspective, what do you see? Would you be impressed by how you enter a room? Would you respect the tone you use when speaking? Would you trust the energy you bring into a conversation? This isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming precise. Because the person who observes themselves ruthlessly, quietly, and with compassion is the person who evolves from unaware to untouchable. Now, watch your behavior, especially in moments of tension. Do you fidget? Do you fill silence just to escape discomfort? Do you nod too quickly just to avoid conflict? Or do you stay grounded? Do you breathe through the tension and speak only when you truly have something worth saying? These tiny moments, they reveal your real character, not through your ambitions, but through your reactions. You don't need to ask people what they think of you. Just observe yourself, and you'll know. Then, you'll begin to see things that sting a little. You'll realize how often you smile when you're anxious. How often you say, yes, when deep down, your heart is screaming, no. You'll see how your body betrays the disconnect between what you feel and what you express. And when it hits you, it won't be gentle. You'll realize you've spent years playing a role, without even knowing it. You've laughed at things you didn't find funny. You've said, yes, when your soul begged for no. Not because you're weak, but because no one ever taught you how to truly see yourself. You've learned how to observe the world in stillness. Now it's time to turn that gaze inward, and when you do, you'll start to see something remarkable. Everything can change. And this right here is your opportunity. Once you become aware of what's holding you back, you can begin to shift it. Not all at once, not overnight, but gradually, through small, intentional steps. You start to show up with more poise. Your spine seems a little taller, not from pride, but from awareness. Your voice slows down just slightly, as if every word is chosen with care. You pause before responding. You move with a quiet dignity, like someone even you would respect in silence. All of these subtle adjustments, they're signals, not just to the world around you, but more importantly, to yourself. Signals that you're no longer drowning in your emotions. That you're no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of old patterns. You're walking forward, grounded, deliberate, intentional. The Stoics didn't strive for perfection. They chose progress. Zeno once said, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. And if you're going to trip, then trip while trying to grow. Even the tiniest improvement, just 1% better each day, will compound into something extraordinary over time. You don't need to become a completely different person today. You only need to begin becoming someone you trust, someone capable of leading your own life. And that journey begins with awareness. Not the fake kind of self-improvement, not some shiny quest for external validation, but real, quiet accountability. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's actually liberating. Because the more you observe yourself, the less you rely on others to define your worth. You no longer need to obsess over how others see you. You become the kind of person whose presence speaks, long before your words do. And when that happens, people start to notice. Even when you're not trying, they sense something different, something rare, a kind of clarity, a kind of strength, not loud, not arrogant, but steady. So try this today. Watch yourself, as if from the outside. Notice how you speak, how you walk, how you listen. Don't judge, just witness, and ask yourself, am I someone I would respect? If the answer is no, don't despair. Just begin. You weren't put on this earth to be perfect. You're here to be intentional. And that alone sets you apart from the many who sleepwalk through their lives. Because once you've learned to observe the world with calm detachment, and now, to observe yourself with honest clarity, the next question is, how do you make the world observe you, even when you say nothing? That's what the next lesson is all about. Let's keep going. Lesson 3. Let silence lead the room. Most people treat silence like it's a problem, something awkward, something broken, something that needs to be patched up immediately. They get uncomfortable the moment things go quiet, those seconds between two thoughts, between two sentences, between two breaths, and so they react on impulse. They rush in to fill the silence with noise, with nervous laughter, with overly detailed explanations, with words that have no real weight. But here's the part they miss. Silence, when used intentionally, isn't weakness. It's a form of power. A quiet, almost invisible kind of control, subtle but undeniable. Because the one who isn't afraid of silence, the one who can hold it without flinching, is the one who sets the rhythm of the room. They lead, not with volume, but with presence. The Stoics understood this a long time ago. To speak less doesn't mean you know less. It means you know what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That wisdom extends to your voice as well. Every time you speak without a clear purpose, you betray your discipline. You're revealing something, your need to be acknowledged, your hunger to be noticed. But when you pause, intentionally, calmly, you force the world to lean in. And in that pause, the power shifts. You've probably felt this before. That tense moment in a meeting where no one wants to be the first to speak. That weight in the air when someone finishes speaking and lets the silence linger. The truth is, the human mind can't stand a vacuum. And in conversation, silence is that vacuum. When you master the pause, people will feel compelled to fill it, whether they realize it or not. And when they do, they often say more than they meant to. Things they would have filtered, things they weren't ready to share. In the business world, there's a saying, whoever speaks first loses. It might sound like a tactic, but it goes deeper. It's psychology. Most people can't sit comfortably in empty space. And in that discomfort, they reveal themselves. They speak without thinking. They overcompensate. They try to impress. Sometimes, they even confess things they didn't intend to. And all you did was wait. You had the discipline to stay still, to resist the urge to jump in just so you'd feel heard. But here's where the deeper Stoic lesson comes in. Silence is not about manipulating others. It's about mastering yourself. While others panic, you remain still. While they scramble for footing, you stay grounded, not because you want to dominate, but because you've trained your mind not to fear stillness. So now, ask yourself, in your last conversation, did you rush to fill the silence? Did you stumble over your own words, trying to be understood? Did you ramble because you feared being judged? Or did you pause? Did you breathe? Did you let your words land softly, like a stone skipping across still water, precise, calm, and complete? The truth is, most people, even the intelligent ones, talk too much. They try to convince, they justify, they explain what doesn't need explaining. But the wise? They know something else. They know presence doesn't need punctuation. It just is. And the moment you stop talking, that presence grows stronger. Now, try this simple exercise. The next time you speak with someone, especially in a tense, high stakes, or competitive setting, do this before you respond. Pause for just 2 seconds. Not 5, not 10, just 2. It will feel like forever. But watch what happens. Their body language starts to shift. Their eyes flicker. They might fidget. They feel the gap, and suddenly, they feel the need to fill it. They begin talking more, trying harder to explain themselves, trying to impress you, trying to read your silence, and often projecting their own insecurities into it. And while they do that, you remain still, grounded, composed, present, watching. This isn't passivity, it's strategic stillness. The Stoics would call it internal mastery, not just control over your actions, but over your impulses. The impulse to interrupt, the urge to explain, the instinct to defend, correct, or react. All of that is noise. And silence silences the noise. Think of characters like Inokoji Kiyotaka. He doesn't rush to speak. He doesn't reveal his cards too early. He lets others expose themselves, piece by piece, while he gathers data, notices patterns, calculates quietly. His silence is not absence. It's presence, focused, intentional, measured, and the truth is, you don't need to be a fictional genius to do the same. You simply have to unlearn what society taught you, that loud equals strong, and quiet equals weak, because it's usually the opposite. The loudest people are often the most fragile. The quietest ones? Often the most prepared. Silence, when used with clarity, allows you to see more, to observe beyond what's being said. When your mind isn't busy rehearsing what you'll say next, you begin to notice the small things. A subtle tremor in someone's voice, a shift in tone, a contradiction in their logic. You start hearing not just words, but patterns, and in those patterns, people reveal their fears, their intentions, their hidden truths, but none of it is visible if you're too busy talking. There's also another gift that silence brings, one that's rarely talked about. It gives your words meaning. Like the pause between musical notes, it creates rhythm. Without silence, everything you say becomes noise. But when you speak with clarity, with intention, and you leave room for silence, your words begin to carry weight. They echo, they sink in, they change the temperature of the room. And not because you raised your voice, but because you knew exactly when to stop. Now, here's your warning. Silence will make people uncomfortable, especially those who thrive on attention, chaos, or validation. They may mistake your pause for hesitation. They might call you cold, arrogant, even manipulative. But don't let that shake you. Don't shrink to soothe their discomfort. Because that very discomfort, it's your signal that the silence is working. You're not following the script they're used to. You're not playing the emotional game they want. You're breaking the pattern, shifting the power. Not with aggression, but with restraint. That is the Stoic way. Not to overpower, but to outlast. So from this moment on, use silence like a scalpel. Not to harm, but to reveal. Not to manipulate, but to clarify. Don't speak unless your words carry purpose. And let your stillness say the rest. And after you've learned to detach from your emotions, observe yourself with clarity, and harness the power of silence. Now comes the next step. The final step. The missing piece that ensures you stay steady no matter what life throws your way, is this: preparation. Lesson 4. Read the unseen rhythm of life. Have you noticed? Something is quietly unfolding in your life right now. Silently, steadily, and chances are, you haven't seen it. Not because it's hidden, but because you've never paused long enough to truly observe. Everything in life follows a rhythm. Not just nature, not just traffic, but people, their words, their behaviors, their decisions, all repeat in patterns. And once you sharpen your third eye, that deeper awareness, to recognize these patterns, you'll begin to see the world isn't as chaotic as it seems. It's actually quite predictable. Most people just aren't still enough to notice it. And that is where your advantage lies. Let's take a simple example. Someone orders the same Starbucks drink every morning. It's not really about the drink. It's about rhythm, familiarity, the emotional safety that routine brings. It's a ritual, and once something becomes a ritual, it becomes a doorway. Offer them that cup of coffee, and without saying a word, you've just spoken directly to their inner world. They soften. They feel understood, not because you manipulated them, but because you saw them. This kind of awareness isn't just for smoother social interactions. It's a soft weapon in negotiation. in leadership, in every psychological game life throws at you. Say you're facing someone arrogant, a self-proclaimed expert who refuses to budge. You don't overpower them. You don't argue. You just remember one small detail they let slip earlier. They always want to feel like they're getting the best deal first. So, you lean in. You present your offer as a one-time only opportunity. Exclusive, first and last. And just like that, their ego kicks in. Overriding logic, the pattern you quietly noticed becomes the key to winning the game. You didn't argue. You didn't need to say much. You simply read the person in front of you. But here's something important to remember. The ability to read patterns isn't just a skill. It's a responsibility. Because once you begin to see how predictable people really are, the temptation to manipulate becomes very real. But the Stoic path reminds us, clarity must walk hand in hand with character. Seneca once said, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." In this context, that means, use your awareness to lead, not deceive. Let your precision serve your principles. There's a popular saying in business, enter the conversation already happening in your customer's mind. But what do most people do? They stay trapped in their own heads. They react. They guess, they hope, but not people like Ayano Koji. They don't just live in the moment. They see the architecture of every interaction. They recognize what's repeated, what's avoided, what's unconsciously revealed. They don't just play the game. They see the board before the pieces even move. To stay 3 steps ahead without anyone noticing, you don't need to be loud or quick. You just need to become a quiet student of human nature. Every glance, every hesitation, every overreaction, it's all information. And once you learn to decode it, you begin to live in a different world. A world where nothing is truly hidden from the one who knows how to see. That's how you become untouchable. Not by fighting harder, but by seeing clearer. While others chase attention, you master awareness. While they panic, you remain calm. And while they react, you observe, anticipate, and strike with precision. That's what it means to walk through life with quiet power. Not loud, not flashy, just steady, intentional, unshakable. If this message resonated with something deep inside you, take a deep breath. And remember, this is just the beginning. Comment, silent power, if you're ready to carry this mindset into your life. And if you want more tools to sharpen your mind and move through the world with wisdom, make sure to hit subscribe. The next video will take this even deeper. But for now, stay calm, stay sharp, and never underestimate the strength of stillness.